Well, good morning and welcome to Bedhead Chat with Chad. It is a special edition, and you know why it's special? Because I actually am doing it. It's been an interesting week this week. I don't know about you, but it seems to me like after 3-4 weeks, depending on what state you live in, cabin fever is taking a new toll on people. And the word apathy, if we could throw the word apathy in there, I could tell a lot of stories, but apathy has kicked in, and people just I'll just be bold and I'll do it in a nice way. Don't give a crap anymore. It's just, those that are working, you're staying busy, and those of us that aren't, we're trying to stay busy. I mean, Zoom call. I've been on a lot of Zoom call, but just the will to even, I did my stocks from bed this morning. I'm just laying in bed on my phone, just doing this. I guess I gotta get up and do bedhead. But you know what? I'm up. I'm excited. I'm ready to go. And I've already got some words thrown at me. If you've noticed, today's theme is "You're driving me crazy," because I keep on getting people telling me that I have all these. Yeah, you don't care about apathy. I don't care about apathy either. Oh, that's a good one. But people tell me that I have all these driving stories. I'm a bad driver. And I had two words thrown at me before we even started, and it was snowball and drive-by. So thinking of those two words together, I've already got a story, and Todd threw this out at me, and Andreas. But Todd, this one's for you. So back when I was in college, my brother had a car. He had a Pontiac Sunbird. And sometimes we would borrow it, sometimes we wouldn't. But my friend John was living with us, and he had a car too, and it was a beater. So what we used to do is we would go and we back in those days, you're talking the early 90s, you could do stupid stuff and not get in trouble. You could be reckless driving through the neighborhoods and not get in trouble. So we would go, every time it snowed, we would do donuts. We'd go to other people's neighborhoods and we'd just do donuts. Well, one day we were out there not in my brother's car yet, but we were in my friend's car, and we were doing donuts. And we happened to do donuts, which surprisingly enough, it was in front of Federated Covenant Church, which at that point was just Federated Church, and it was in front of a corner house, which at that point in time we didn't know was a drug house. And we were doing donuts on the corner there because it had a nice icy spot. And next thing you know, all these people come yelling and screaming and throwing stuff at us, and we're like, oh, a bunch of drunk, crazy people. So us being us, we didn't just leave. We started going around the block, and we started doing drive-bys on these crazy people. Well, they would start yelling at us, screaming at us, and then next thing you know, we drive, and we're a block over, and we come down the road, and we're in the middle of the block, and out of nowhere, they come out with baseball bats and all this stuff, and we're driving by in the road. Now, this is icy winter roads, and they're out there with baseball bats, and they start pounding the crap out of our car. So they literally are in the middle of the road, and this is a beater car, so we're good. And they just start beating our car with baseball bats. Thank God they didn't break any windows or stuff. But these are just crazy people. It's like, okay, well, being the smart people that we were, we decided we're not going to let this go. So that night we went back and we left it alone. So then we decided we're going to go back, but we're going to use Todd's car. So Todd had a new car, and so we just did some more drive-bys, but not as sneaky. Well, then they started to recognize Todd's car. Well, the problem with Todd's car is Todd's car was parked on our front yard, and John's car wasn't so recognizable. So they figured out where we lived. Well, one time I was driving Todd's car, and they followed me out of town, and then they pulled over, and John and I were in the car, and they were out of town, and they're like, okay, they want to jump us, they want to do all this stuff. Well, I just took off. Well, next thing you know, Todd, John, and I are at home, and here comes this car with the mama. Mama is the gang leader or whatever. They pull up in front of our house, and so this wasn't technically a drive-by at this point. They pull up in front of our house, and they all pile out of the car, and here's Todd, John, and I. And Todd had nothing to do with any of this. This is my brother, Todd, by the way. Who was on a week ago Wednesday. He was our guest. So go back and check out Todd and just imagine him doing this. The house mother, she was a total whack job. Yes, she was. She was the house mother, Todd. So here's this lady, and she's got all of her boys threatening to kick all of our tails. And Todd's just getting in this lady's face. They're going back and forth, and I think he's throwing some Jesus at her. And just nose to nose. And all because we did donuts. in front of their house. Literally, we did donuts in front of their house on this, and it turned out there was a little bit of fighting. John, my buddy, fought somebody, and it was over. It's all she wrote. The police showed up. We all pretended like nothing was happening because my mom called the police because it got pretty big. The police showed up as one of those, oh, nothing happened here, nothing happened here. We're all good, and the game was over. And I'd like to say that we never drove by the house again, but that would be a lie. But yeah, so there's snowballs and drive-bys. So you guys can keep throwing words out. Maybe, as I recall, John got a shiner out of it. Yeah. So John, here's the thing. John was number 2 in the state for cross country, like for the running the mile in Illinois. So he took off running. Somebody chased him, and we thought he was fine. Number 2 in the state for running, and this is like a year after he left college. We thought, oh, he's fine. He's fine. Now, the guy caught him, and they got in a fight down around the corner. But yeah, that is what it is. But yeah, so that was just one of many, oh my gosh, many stories. So no one else is throwing, oh, I'll tell you another one. So with this guy, John, we used to do just stupid stuff. Like we had, his car was a beater car. So I won't say what donuts. You may have done a donut or two in the Fed parking lot. Yes, Dave. Well, speaking of donuts, let's talk about donuts. So there is a college that I won't name so that I don't incriminate myself completely. But there's a college that's near Dowagiac, very close, with right out of the city limits. But I won't say specifically where it is. That back in the day, in the parking lots, they would put up these poles. They put up these PVC poles for plow guides. And this car we had, the dude punched him. John chased the guy. You're right, Todd. John chased the guy, and then they got in a fight. It was the other way around. John caught him, and then they fought, and John lost. Yeah, so they had these PVC poles, and we would go out there, and we would basically, with his car, which we didn't care much about, we would just drive down the line, PVC pole, psh, 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 psh. We just like PVC poles were flying. We'd do donuts. We'd hit it sideways. Remember, this is the same car that got hit by baseball bats. That's how much we cared about the car. But we'd be doing donuts in the thing. Well, one day, and we also would, if they plowed, we would like drive through the sidewalks to the other side parking lot and take the other side out too. Well, one day we were out there, and we were taking out all of the PVC pipes. And this is before they had high security. And then we saw this nice drift right at the edge of the parking lot because we like busting drifts too. And so we take this corner drift and we plow through this drift right after we took out every single PVC pipe in this parking lot. We plow through this drift. Well, needless to say, the drift was not a drift. The drift was a snow pile. And we ended up on top because it was the parking lot was like this and the driveway was down like this. We ended up on top of a snow pile after we had just taken out all of these PVC pipes. So here we are. It took us like 2 hours because we always kept shovels because we knew we could always, we just always prepared. And then security shows up like an hour into us digging out. And they end up helping us dig out. And we're like, yeah, we saw somebody came in there. It was crazy, man. They just came in and they started knocking them out. And I mean, there had to have been marks on our car because they had little orange marks on the top. But yeah, we almost got busted, taken out. We never did that again. Well, we probably did, but we just did stupid stuff. Throw some more words out at me, but yeah, that's your Dave for donuts. I just took your word donut from there. I do donuts on the farm every week. Well, yeah, I grew up doing donuts, but I'll tell you, let me say, I taught my kids how to do donuts. I believe that if you don't practice driving, I took my kids to do in the parking lots doing donuts. I remember once in real life, I was driving down the road. I hit black ice, and I had people in the car with me. And I was driving down 62 on the way to Cass, and I hit black ice. I totally spun out. I went into somebody's yard. Instead of just freaking out, I gunned it. Drove through the yard in the big, like 3-4 foot of snow, pushed through and ended up right behind the car that was behind me, and got right back on the road. Yeah, Todd, I've always been able to talk my way out of anything. I don't know what you're talking about. Oh, that reminds me of another story. I remember this was not that long ago, actually. We were on a youth group trip this has to do with driving. We went to the movies, and it was young adults. Actually, it wasn't. It was young adults slash seniors that were going out with the young adults, and we went out to movies, and then we went to IHOP, and all the seniors supposedly had permission. So Anna, if you see this later, you were supposed to have permission, even though you got me in trouble with your mama. I was a kidnapper because I took you across state lines. Well, on the way back, we're just having fun, and I'm in my Dodge truck, and we got people that were, we had people around us that were driving really slow in front of me. So I'm like, okay. So if you want to get people to drive faster in front of you, pretend like you're drunk. Believe me, they will speed up. So here I am driving. I start swerving off the side of the road, swerving back and forth, swerving. And then I would slow down and I would speed up. And I did this for like 15 miles. And even when they sped up, I just sped up with them. Well, then you could tell. Then at one point, they pulled totally off the road. This is like 15 miles from Niles all the way to Dowagiac. And about 5 miles out of town, if you're from that area, Peavine, they pulled off. And I'm like, okay, they're trying to get my plate now. So then I'm flooring it. I'm going 100 miles an hour now. So they think I'm just totally ripped at this point. So then I pull off on the side road, trying to get out of the way, and I'm just trying to dodge it. Well, meanwhile, they called the police, and they warned them about this guy in a Dodge Ram that is drunk off his gourd. And so they've got the police all over Dowagiac looking for me, evidently. So here I am. I'm coming back from a young adult youth event, and it's 1 or 2 in the morning, and the police are looking for me. Well, the first time I ever met the new chief of police was that night. And we showed up, and he caught me coming in the back way around Harding's. And when he found me, he pulled me over. And at first I'm like, well, there was another Dodge Ram. I don't know if it's me they were talking about. Because we just came from the movies in IHOP. I mean, he goes, have you had a drink, sir? I said, oh, I haven't had a drink in months. I mean, I'm a youth pastor. We were just doing this and that. He goes, and it was funny because I know that he knew, because he could just look at the people in my car, because it wasn't me that he didn't believe. It was the rest of everyone in my car that was just like snickering and couldn't keep a straight face, because they knew that he could tell we were just having fun. He knew I wasn't drunk. He knew. But people like Nick and Anna and people like that, they were just like, they couldn't keep a straight face. But I did not get a ticket for reckless driving or driving crazy. Remind me to never ride along with you. Hey, Jesse, that's not even nice. But yeah, that's how I met the chief, and we have a really great relationship. But that was me meeting the new. Well, they don't call him the chief because he's the chief of police and fire. I don't remember what they call him for real, but that is how I met the chief, is by being called in for drunk driving and driving reckless with teenagers in my car. But I'll tell you one thing: I've been pulled over a lot in Dowagiac. And take this how you want to take this. It's always after midnight, and it's always driving with somebody of color in my vehicle. Take that how you want. I've been pulled over multiple times having somebody with color in my front seat. So you can get mad at me for saying that. It's a fact. But I love Dowagiac. Dowagiac's a great place. So throw me some more words out there. Throw me some more words. Let's see if I missed anything. All right. So let me okay. So I talked about this Dodge truck. Well, when I bought this truck, I bought it for work because I used to haul dump trailers. I had a dump trailer company that I sold dump trailers across the country. So I bought this big Dodge Ram V10. Now, let me tell you about a V10. It's got balls, but it is a tourist trap. It means you get to stop at every gas station on the trip you go on. So you go 3 miles, you stop for gas. You go another 5 miles, you stop for gas. So I got to see a lot of gas stations across the country. But one thing, it made it worth it, is that thing, man, it was hidden power. I remember I used to go to the strip. Yes, me, I would do that. I used to race all the time. And you get like these Mitsubishi Eclipse thinking they're all that to be like, all these. And I'd look at them and like, oh, let's go. And we'd be at the green light at the stoplight on McKinley or wherever, and I just gun that thing and leave them in the dust. I barely ever lost. One time we were at Lake Michigan, and this was like off season. We were at a parking lot in Lake Michigan, And this guy came in there and he started doing donuts in his little. It is a nice car, don't get me wrong. He started doing donuts in his car, like on pavement, not on snow, like leaving skid mark type of donuts. And it was a foreign car. It was a nice car, and he did like 2 or 3 donuts, and he thought it was like really awesome. And so I got on my truck, and I went. I went about 15 donuts in a row. Then I pulled out of it, skid, turned around, did a donut, came back to him, and pulled up next to him and like waved. So yeah, I have fun. The strip, I forgot about going there. Yeah, oh man, I went to the strip all the time. Back when it was fun, back before it got crazy. But I'm old, so the strip used to be cool. People used to hang out on the sides. We just had fun on the strip. But I'll tell you, yeah, things used to be different. I mean, I used to play chase. Anybody ever played chase? Chase is, for all you youngins, chase is where you'd get a car and they'd get a car and you would play chase. It's kind of like tag with, 3,000 to 5,000 pound vehicles, and you'd go through cities and neighborhoods and not kill anybody for some strange reason. I don't know how. The world is different. Andreas, yes, Andreas, we played before. And guess who won, Andreas? Me! No one's ever beat me, but Ben Baker almost hung with me. I think, if I recall, Andreas, I left you in an alley in the dust. Yes, Andreas, you lost, but we won't go there because you'll deny it. But I remember. Chase is a game. But back in the day when chase is more fun if the person you're chasing doesn't know you're playing. That's just creepy, Todd. That's just creepy. Todd Bankert, his name's on there. His last name's right there, so I don't have to say. He's a pastor, people. That's a pastor saying. He's right there. Check him out. So, Chase, this is when I was a youth pastor, strangely enough. I'd have these high school students like Andreas that, wanted to drive, and Ben was one of my favorites. We would just play chase, and I was really crazy good driver, and I had some vehicles that I really knew how to handle. I could drive down a neighborhood and go in, and I could just do a 90-degree turn like no one's business, and just they'd go, I'd turn. By the time they flew past and turned around and got back to me, I was gone. My favorite thing to do ever was to play chase. And back then, we'd have like the walkie-talkies. We'd talk to each other sometimes. But I would go, and we'd play chase. I'd lose them, and I'd just go home. So they're all over town looking for me, and I'm back in my house, just sitting there because I lost them, and they're still looking for me, and I'm sitting at home. But yeah, that was that's how I played chase. So throw me some more, Jesse. No, yes, that's yeah. Ben, like I said, Ben Baker's the only one that could ever hang with me. But I did some crazy stuff. And in Chicago, I never played chase. No, in Dowagiac, I played chase. Hey, Sharon and Savannah, welcome to the show. Welcome to Bedhead Chat with Chad. Today's theme is driving, and we're talking about Cornfield. Oh man, we used to. Okay, so my same buddy John, we had a truck. First we had a car, then we had a truck. Well, this is only a 2-wheel drive truck, and now I was just a passenger here. I plead the fifth. I was never the driver in this, but he had this idea that his truck could go anywhere. So he would go off-roading into people's cornfields. Now, me growing up with a grandpa who had a cornfield, I was totally against this. But he would just drive and just go into people's cornfields, take people's corn out, and drive back out. No, Todd, don't condone that. I can't believe as a pastor that you would want me to bring that up. Shame on you, Todd. Shame on you. So I'm picking on Todd today in case you haven't noticed. So Chinese fire drills are the best. Yeah, Chinese fire drills. Here's a better one. Okay, here's what you do, people. And you'd be surprised how often this works. You just see that led me to something. You pull up next to somebody and you say, hey, you roll down your window and say, hey, you left your keys in the door. You'd be surprised how many times people reach and try to grab their keys out of the door. Or better yet, your blinker fluid's leaking. You don't know how many times we've seen people pull off and check their blinker fluid. Check their blinker fluid. I remember one time, oh my gosh, I had this van. We were so bad, so bad. We had this van. This is back when I owned the Eclipse, and it was a diesel van, and it was given to us. Well, the diesel got worse and worse, so it was a cloud of smoke. So what we used to do is we used to basically just smoke people out. Like the guy, if you remember the butt rag story, that guy and I had this thing going forever where we would just go after each other. I mean, we went after each other. He actually, to the point where he put Kool-Aid in both of my vehicles, where I had to have I spent me like $800 to get both vehicles fixed. That's how bad we went. Well, he was sitting one day outside of Perkin Beans, and I just gassed him out with my diesel truck. I mean, I just totally gassed him out. I mean, he's the guy that I did remember I told you how I stored urine in 2-liter bottles, and yeah, well, I even put it in cups in his thing. I remember one day pulling up, and he's trying to rip his whole car apart, trying to figure out what stinks. Well, this van made such a cloud of diesel dust. When people would be riding me too tight in traffic, all I would do is I'd drop that baby to neutral, and I would just crank it, man, and I would just smoke them out. And I'm telling you, it was just a cloud. It couldn't have been legal. I mean, it was just such a cloud of diesel smoke. Well, I was driving, and this is the last day I ever drove it. I was driving in Mishawaka, Indiana, and there's this lady that would just tailgate me. Now, I had a whole van full of people. We were heading to IHOP. And this lady was just tailgating me, and like on me, and we got up, and we were at a stoplight, and light turned green, and I just smoked her. I mean, I smoked her, and instead of her stopping and backing up, she gunned it, and she just plowed right into me. So she rear-ended us, took out our back end, and we no longer had the diesel van. But yeah, man, I did some stupid stuff. It looks like the internet may be out, but I'm going to keep talking because I never know with Nome internet. But I see a frozen screen, but I don't care because you know what? Nome internet is Nome internet. But yeah, like I said, we did some crazy stuff. But here's the thing: never get behind me with a diesel van that has a cloud of smoke. So another thing I used to do, because I don't see any more. Did I miss a word here? Yes, I'm still on. Thank you. I am still on. Woohoo! So, anybody here used to just straight up race, like go out and do quarter-mile races or jump? Oh, I used to love jumping railroad tracks. There was a railroad track that I used to jump. Or better yet, there was this place out by the college prom. I'm saving that one for Brett, Todd. I'm saving that one for Brett to tell. He's going to be on next week. I know you want me to tell that story. So there was this place out on a street that the road basically, there's a stop sign, and then after the stop sign, the road just drops. So what we would do is I would plow down, and you could see both sides coming. And back in the day, it wasn't a busy road. Now it's a very busy road because the college changed the traffic pattern and it's very busy. So you just don't try this at home. Okay, do not do this. Do not do this. Okay, this is very dangerous now. It was dangerous then, but now it's much more dangerous. But I would go about 80, 90 miles an hour, and you basically would launch. You wouldn't jump this way. You would basically just launch, and the road would drop from underneath you, and then you'd drop, and you'd just boom. You knew the only way you could tell if you had a good launch is you'd have your seatbelt on as tight as you could make it. And here's how you know if you have a good jump. Here's the roof. If your head is not coming to the roof, you don't have a good jump. Because unless you have a full harness, which cars don't come with full harnesses. But that's how you know you have a good jump. And I used to jump like no one's business. I mean, like no one's business. I don't know how my car. It was a '78 Pontiac Bonneville with a V8 400, and I'll tell you what, that thing could do the quarter mile like no one's business. But I'll tell you what really could do it was my Honda Nighthawk. I had a '84 Honda Nighthawk. It was only a 650, but it was shaft drive, and I could go 0 to 100 fast because it only took 4 gears to get to 100. Now, once I got to the quarter mile, though, other bikes could beat me because it's slower. But man, but I never drove that fast. I promise. I never drove that fast. But since I've lived here in Nome, let me see what time it is. I've got 5 minutes. Since I've lived here in Nome, it's been a little. You could beat anyone on the start. Don't try to drive it much over 80. 80? Who are you kidding? You talking the Bonneville? Yeah, the Bonneville. But man, the start, man, it went. But my Nighthawk, it would go 124 miles an hour, I think. So living here in Nome, there's no roads. There are roads, but you got to fly to get here. There's no roads. I can't drive to Anchorage, but I do have this amazing Chevy 4-wheel drive. Okay, it's a Chevy Tahoe. It came with the deal. I have a house that I'm in, and I have this Chevy Tahoe is part of my deal with being here as an interim pastor. So I got 1 more month that I'm here, and I have this Tahoe. And so all we have really is a few roads. I mean, because I live in Nome, there are 70 miles in 3 directions, but that's not normal. Those aren't nice roads, but they're great for 4-wheeling. So when Dana was gone last summer, she was gone for a month. And with Dana, I mean, I don't get rough because it didn't have good shocks either. I mean, I had it go to the dealer, and not the dealer. We don't have dealers here. The guy looked at it and said, "You're fine. It's just going to be a rough ride. It's not going to hurt anything. Just not going to be comfortable." Well, I didn't mind not comfortable when Dana wasn't with me. So I went out, and I'm like, let's see what this baby's got. Well, we went out on the beach. Man, it can handle the beach. I went out in the mountains. So I found this trail out in the mountains, way up near the peaks, and this two-track. And I'm climbing up rocks, and I keep going, and I'm going, and I'm going, and I got this beautiful view, and I'm like, oh, man, this is amazing. And I get way up, I mean, I'm way up this two-track, and I'm to the point where I'm climbing over, just not boulders, but big old rocks. Well, let me get back to that story. Well, the next Sunday, my youth pastor is preaching, and he tells this story about when he was younger, how he did something really dumb, and he went out and when he moved to Alaska, he went out without a phone because the phones don't work there. He didn't have a satellite phone. He didn't tell anybody where he was going, and he went out. He had this nice 4-wheel drive vehicle, and he went out on this two-track and went climbing up a mountain, and how he got to the point where he got so far up, and he's like, oh, I can't turn around. And he ended up having to he had to do all these things. It took him hours and hours to be able to turn around and get safely out of there. And I'm thinking, okay, I just did this. So he's telling this story about how he was, he made a stupid decision. It was a great sermon. And I'm thinking, James, are you stealing this story from me? Because and I never told anybody I did this. So I went out on this mountain, and it was beautiful. I got pictures. The view was amazing. But I ended up I had one tire to turn around. I had one tire over the edge, and it was drop off. I mean, looking down, I had to get out because you can't see. I had to get out of the vehicle. I had one tire over, and I'm doing this, because I had to jimmy around because I'm backing up part of the way, and I found a spot where I could possibly do a turnaround because you couldn't safely back out of this thing. So it took me an hour and a half to be able to get to the point where I could actually safely get around so I could come back down. And this isn't a point where, you're supposed to tell people where you go. And so if you're not back at a certain time, they come looking for you. And I didn't do that. I don't know what I was thinking. But it was an amazing, amazing adventure. But talk about getting stuck on top of a mountain with a freewheeling. Oh, it was crazy. Will I do it again? Here's the sad part. Probably. I would probably do something stupid like that again because that's just who I am. I'm adventurous. I'm crazy. I'm a risk taker. I'm not suggesting you do that. A part of it is a false sense of security from all the times that I've done stupid stuff and haven't gotten in trouble. But at the same time, let me just say this, and I'm going to be serious here for a minute. All these stories I've told, most of the time, I know it doesn't sound like it. But I was very aware of my situation. I wasn't, what sounds reckless was not reckless the way you think. Yes, I was making decisions that I probably shouldn't have made, but I wasn't just being randomly reckless, not caring about anything, not caring about my life. Because even, you all know that I lost my daughter in a car accident. You all know that I lost Jalen and Kylie in an accident that was of no fault of their own. And I know that bad stuff happens to good people. So as I say this, and I'm having fun talking about these stories of recklessness, there's a serious side to me too. So don't misunderstand my fun and my storytelling of the crazy stuff I do with not caring, because I do care. And yeah, Todd, you said it well. Adventurous and risky are not the same as reckless. What sounds like reckless is not reckless. It's adventurous and risky. I am a risky person. I'm an adventurous person. But at no point in time am I to the point where I'm going to do something that I think intentionally is going to put my life in danger. Okay? Because I care too much for that. So as I'm telling these stories, also, and people who know me know that I drive, even though I drive crazy, my skills are, I'm a pretty good driver. I'm a good driver, and I can do things that a lot of people can't do in vehicles and in motorcycles. So don't try this at home. So listen, it's been Bedhead Chat with Chad. It's been great talking to you guys. So next week we may end up, we'll see how apathy takes place next week. We may end up moving to Monday, Wednesday, Fridays. We may do Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. I don't know, because you know what? We get up, good driver, that's debatable. Hey, Todd, I don't want to hear it. Next week we'll just slam stories on you only if you keep it up. But hey, it's been great. Good spending time with you guys. Have a great weekend. You know what next Monday is, right? Everybody know? Somebody say it. Andreas, what is it? What's Monday? It give you a hint. It starts with a 4. It ends with a 20. You got it. Next Monday is 420. So we're going to have a special 420 edition of Bedhead Chat with Chad. Don't forget, no showers, no shaving, no changing your clothes. You don't even have to get out of your day pajamas or your night pajamas. For all I care, you can stay in your birthday pajamas if you want. Have a great day. We'll see you guys on Monday. We're out.